Joining me right now, Mayank Shah from Parle Products. Mayank, hi, good to have you on the show. You know, Mayank, exactly as my colleague was just highlighting, input costs have risen across the board. If you look at wheat, sugar, milk, all other raw materials which are integral to your business. Give us an understanding of what's the kind of heat that you're feeling from raw material cost price pressure as of now, and how is it that you see this trend actually pan out? Would you say that this is just an aberration, or could it continue well into the summer months later as well?
So most of these commodities are cyclic, so we expect them to go down in the coming months. But as we speak, there is a concern across industry. So two key ingredients have seen a good amount of price hike. Oil, edible oil is one of them. We've seen almost about 70 to 80% increase in oil in last about 6 to 8 months. And that's a worrisome thing. So most players are worried about it in processed food because oil is one of the major ingredients going into food. Secondly, fuel prices. Freight also is an important, we are into volume as business. So freight becomes an important cost element in the total mix. And that's another thing that we are getting worried about. So freight hits you twice. Once while shipping the finished goods, and secondly when you are, buying the raw material or input materials. So both places, freight plays an important role, and not directly but even indirectly, the prices increase of those key raw materials which you normally buy because of the freight involved in that. That's second thing. Thirdly, fuel prices also impact the packaging cost because most packaging varieties that you use are derivatives of crude, and that's the reason why even the packaging material prices shoot up. All these things put together have a sizable impact on the margins of products, and that's what the concern is right now across the food processing industry. So given the scenario, I think, nobody wants to take a price hike. Since we are seeing, revival in demand, everybody is very keen that, there should be a revival in demand. We should see a good amount of growth. So nobody wants to trade off their growth at the cost of margins. So people are holding back on and absorbing the increase in cost. But I guess, beyond the point, it would be a little difficult for players to absorb it, and they might eventually have to pass it on to consumers, which is what we are, currently waiting and watching. So probably if this trend continues, while we expect it to, subside as in prices to go back, but if it doesn't happen, then I think eventually most players would take a price hike.
So as of now, you're saying that, most FMCG players are wanting volumes. It's not about margins as of now. But if at all commodity price uptick continues and, up until now, while you've been taking that hit up on your margins, to what extent do you think your volumes are going to get impacted if indeed the price hike has to be passed on to the consumers?
Maybe at least about 8 to 10% impact on volumes if price hikes are taken currently. It may be even more. It's an unprecedented situation, as we all say. COVID has been unprecedented, and while in a normal case it would be 8 to 10% impact, it can be a little more if price hike is taken at this juncture, given the fragile situation of economy, especially I'm talking about finances of consumers. I think that can affect more companies and volumes of companies if a price hike is taken at this juncture, and that primarily is the reason why most players knows that and they are trying and pushing, or there is a certain amount of aversion in taking a price hike. If they take that, I think that might have a significant impact on the volumes, more than what it would be in the normal course of time.
Okay. So is there any low-priced RM inventory, Mayank, which would help to support the margins of the company and the FMCG industry?
Not really. I guess, you currently, as in most players or the industry currently is operating on basic raw materials. So wheat flour, sugar, edible oil. And I don't think there is any scope. I think that there is any scope of any replacement of any of those ingredients with probably a lower cost ingredient. I don't think so, really. They're the most basic raw material elements.
Okay. In terms of demand, in Q3, we've now started to see demand normalizing somewhat. So what are the trends as you see them going forward, and also the differentiation between mass and premium products at this point?
Are doing well currently. Thankfully, there is a good, I think, the demand that's prevailing in the market is good. I think we've seen good revival in demand in this particular quarter. Last quarter was a little soft as far as demand is concerned. The first 2 quarters were good. So given that, the entire industry is hopeful that we'll close this year on a good note, on a good growth. But as I said, everybody is wary of taking a price hike, because the growth that I think food processing sector has been able to achieve would probably, be difficult to achieve in the coming year. There are 2 reasons. One is the high base effect that we would have. In the first 2 quarters, food probably was one of the very few sectors which did well in this particular financial year. So on that high base, to continue to grow is going to be a challenge for most companies. Add to it the increasing input cost. Both put together, it's going to be really, really difficult for most companies to really grow over the first 2 quarters of last year. Last year, as in the current year, I'm talking about the April, May, June, July, August quarters of 2020. So going forward in 2021, these 2 quarters are going to be key, where the high base effect will kick in, and it's going to be difficult for most companies to really grow. And what's only adding to their woes is the increased input cost.
Give us a sense as to what the outlook is as well when it comes to your biscuit market share, and how the company plans to grow this, what the strategy is in place.
So as we speak, we have been gaining share, since the beginning of the year. Biscuits have been doing well. In fact, most food products are doing well, and biscuits, being one of the largest processed food items, are also doing very well. In fact, they have been a comfort food, and I think in the initial parts of the lockdown, when most things were not really available, biscuits were one of the few items which were available, and which were one of the reasons why nobody went hungry, as in including our own company. There were many other companies, food companies, who went out and gave people who were in need of health food. So biscuits were one of the key things which helped in ensuring that people in need do not go hungry, right from migrant labor to people who were locked in their houses. Biscuits, being a long shelf life item, were one of the saviors, and people bought them. There was good demand of it, and I think companies benefited as a result of that, in terms of both ways, ensuring food security and at least ensuring business not really getting hampered as a result of the lockdown.
Okay, and will you be looking at making smaller SKUs given the increase that we've seen in commodity prices instead of hikes?
Yeah, so as you rightly said, smaller SKUs are the ones which are doing very well because of 2 reasons. One, because of some impact on the buying power of consumers during COVID, and secondly, because of strong rural demand. So rural, as we all know, was relatively less affected, and there has been a strong demand coming in from rural India, that too for smaller packs. These are 2 very important reasons, as a result of which we have seen a good demand coming in for LUPs, low unit packs. And I think most companies, including us, are currently focusing on low unit packs, so as to ensure that people get biscuits and snacks at lower price points, and it's not that they are affected as a result of the current issues with their finances as a result of COVID. There are quite a few job losses that we had seen, quite a few, cases where people are stressed for finances, and low unit packs are a savior, in a situation like that.
Lovely to have you on board, Mayank. Thanks much for taking time out and joining in, giving us an industry view, the outlook on the input costs impacting your pricing, as well as the overall demand scenario.
Mr. Agrawal, thanks so much for joining us. If we can just kickstart by talking a little bit about the kind of overall trends you're seeing when it comes to agri, when it comes to crop sowing right now, the kind of demand momentum also you're observing when it comes to insecticides, for example.
You see, as per current data, the summer crop sowing is double than last year. Mainly Kharif and Rabi seasons are there, but in between summer crop season is there. And because due to late rains, all reservoirs are full. So farmers are going to take advantage and summer crop area is going to increase. Regarding insecticides, I like to explain that it is playing the most crucial role for our food, nutrition, health, wealth and environment security, which no country can ignore. So this is a very, very important sector, although maybe small, but having vast potential to grow. Reason being, if you see our consumption of pesticides, it's just 5% in comparison to China or Japan. It doesn't mean that we recommend blindly use of pesticides, but in comparison to China, our yields are one third per hectare in comparison to China. So how much potential is available? And our Honorable Prime Minister has rightly said, for doubling farmers' income and in coming $5 trillion target, agriculture is going to play the most crucial role.
Okay, what about the government initiatives as well, helping agri spends in India? Do you feel these have improved and have actually been beneficial?
Yes. The way government has focusing agriculture. Unfortunately, after first green revolution, once we become self-sufficient, then this sector was neglected. But now you see for the last 5-6 years, allocation of funds are increasing in the agriculture sector, and the laws which are made to free the agriculture from the clutches of only one market. Now farmers are getting freedom to sell their produce anywhere in the world, and the way government has given 1 lakh crore for agri infrastructure. Similarly, they have allocated 50,000 crores for other agriculture initiatives, which never happened. And for agriculture, water is the most important. This government has completed number of dams which were pending. So they have given priority to complete those projects. A number of new area has come under irrigation. And wherever irrigation is coming, their production is getting automatically doubled. So that way government focus is not only on domestic agriculture, but they want to double the agri-produce export also. If you see internationally, our share is not even today 1% in agri-trade crops, which is not grown anywhere in the world. So today our number of crops are having great potential for export. So government has target to double the export also, and that is all put together. If we see a holistic picture, then our agriculture and industry related to agri inputs will have very good growth in coming time.
Sure. Mr. Dhanuka, how much is the theme of inflation impacting the farming community per se? And are you facing input cost pressures? And more importantly, are you passing them on?
Yes, you see, all pesticides, rather, they start their basic from crude. So, petrochemical products, you can say indirectly. Other side, the devaluation of the currency has also impacted the price. And we work on very thin margin. So we do not have any option other than to pass on the burden of increased cost to consumer.
Okay. Mr. Agarwal also wanted clarity on how is it that you're mitigating the risk of increased raw material costs? And would that then entail to substantial margin pressures in the times to come?
You see, there are two types of pesticides. One is generic, which are manufactured by many people. But there are some patented products or exclusive products. Our company is working with 6 Japanese companies and registering their new technology molecules for the first time in the country, where hardly there is competition. So such products give good margin, and we are having a blend of products. Some products give very good margin, some normal margin, some thin margin. And if we make a blend of all these formulations, then the margin is very good. And now, not only today agriculture, the consumption of pesticide increasing apart from agriculture for household also in a big way. So that is the another segment opening up in big way.
Okay. Now, rural India has been, fairly resilient in the last year. Give us a sense on how you feel that recovery is continuing now, whether we're plateauing, whether you're continuing to see further momentum.
Yes, this momentum will continue. Region as infrastructure coming in the country. Earlier, there were no roads to reach the villages. So they were not in position to sell their produce in the market, and they were forced to consume locally. Now with the availability of infrastructure, the farmers are in position to bring their produce to cities and get better price. And they were not in position to reach to cities to purchase the inputs or pesticides. So that way now they are in position to purchase. And hardly our 30-40% agriculture area is really under plant protection. If you see Eastern UP beyond, hardly it is backward area. Hardly few farmers use pesticides. And slowly they are also understanding the benefits. Recently, you would have seen that government is allowing drones. First, they allowed for locust control. Now they have already allowed for survey. And we expect shortly drones technology, which is used world over for pesticide spray and artificial intelligence. And that is also going to come in India very shortly. And with that, this industry is going to further boom, especially pesticides and other related nutrition. Because with artificial intelligence, you can spray the right quality and right quantity. So that is going to increase the farmer's yield and income. And definitely when farmer's income increase, he will like to invest more in his agriculture.
All right, so we'll leave it there, Mr. Agarwal. Thanks so much for joining us and talking us through some of the recent trends that you've been observing.